Hello, my name's Dwayne. Most of you know me. It's 2021. We said goodbye to 2020. That was just horrible, a horrible rocket ride for all of us. So, thought I would do something fun. Well, it wasn't all my idea. Me and Nibs were talking, and my New Year's resolution for 2021 is to concentrate on music, something I know, something that I love, and something I can talk about, and maybe people will find entertaining, and maybe learn something, or maybe I'll have somebody buy an old album that they never would have thought to buy. So I'll explain all this laying here, and I guess I'll get started. Welcome to Fun with Vinyl 2021, a lo-fi production. What is this? I'll get to it. How I got into music. Growing up with my dad, Dean, he played guitar, bass, piano. My mom sang, played the harmonica. He screwed around with the banjo, mandolin. We always had stereos in my house. The stereo was always on. My mom sang. She played piano. Both sides of my family, I come from music. Multiple people in my families play instruments. So from when I got into music. So the stereo was always on. Like I said, my family was very musical, and we went to church. I discovered 4-part harmony, discovered the distinction between what's a banjo sound like, what's a piano sound like, what a bass guitar sounds like, which my dad went on to play most of all was bass and piano. But thanks to Dean Conrad, R.I.P., the ball was set. It was on the floor, and it started rolling, and I took off with it. Southern gospel music with the Statler Brothers, the Blackwood Boys? Yes, Blackwood Boys. Sleigh Boss Sisters, the Florida Boys. These were all Southern gospel quartet music. They had 100 albums. And the record player was always going, a tape player was always going, an album was always going, the stereo was always on, music was always playing. So I discovered that stuff, started picking up on it, and after I got a little older, I started just looking through my dad's albums. I still love 4-part harmony as far as traditional hymns, that kind of stuff. That's amazing. But think groups that I still like that are not rock is the great Chet Atkins, R.I.P., Lester Flatt and Earl Scruggs, R.I.P. This is bluegrass, and Chet Atkins did a great job of playing the guitar, one instrument, and it sounded like a whole symphony. Amazing. Lester Flatt and Earl Scruggs. You might know of them. They played the theme song to Beverly Hillbillies sitcom show, and they were on the show. Their wives would be on the show. Once I discovered that, of songs like Flint Hill Special, Earl's Breakdown, Foggy Mountain Special, Randy Lynn Rag, Shuckin' the Corn, this stuff later came on to me in my head to be what I started listening to as speed metal. But let's go back still. Picking and grinning. Awesome. So that was all in my head. So that being said, I also played cornet in school. I could read music back in the day, but I had the attention span of a gnat, so I never kept with it. Everything I learn and play to this day is by ear. I'm not a huge fan of it. I wish I could do both, but it is what it is. So, fast forward to all that music, church, blah, blah, blah. When I was 11 years old, my dad had kidney failure. He had a transplant. He was on a dialysis machine for 4 years. All these instruments laying around, blah, blah, blah. Unfortunately, he passed away. And I used to screw around with the bass then, wanting to play it. I was going to be a rock star. Didn't really care about school. Let's be honest. I mean, you people know me. I was going to be a rock star. Going to play bass. Tour the world. Be the next Steve Harris from Iron Maiden. Blah, blah, blah. Geezer Butler from Sabbath. Whatever. Cliff Burton from Metallica. Well, you kind of got to have a vision. You kind of have to put the work in. I didn't do that. But, so fast forward, I'm living in the neighborhood I still do now. And I got into rock music, but before that, I also wanted to mention that my dad went on to be in a gospel quartet called the Ascensions. This is in the middle 70s. And this is an 8-track. My dad's right there on the end. This is an 8-track that they recorded. I said 8-track. 8-track. These are also cassettes that my mom would record with a little tape recorder. You just press record, set it on the pew, and record all the shows that he ever played at for those couple years. They weren't a signed band. They didn't play all over the world. Nothing like that. They were just 4 people, 5 people, 6 people, piano, bass, 4-part harmony. My mom still was involved with the group, never played in them, but she was a secretary. She would go on trips with him. She would end up being the sound lady. And this is an album that my dad was not on, but this was made in, this should have been in the early 90s, or no, 80s. So, Something Good, the Ascensions, Southern Gospel Quartet music. Okay, all that being said, why is this here? Well, that's the lead up. Let's get to it. I joined the Columbia House Record Club when I was 12, 11 years old. You buy 8 albums for a penny, and then they send you the little card, and you're supposed to look through the list what you want. I remember getting Doors Alive thinking, oh, I forgot about signing that card. So, I wasn't really into that. Anyway, started buying albums. My album collection started growing. Everything from Aerosmith to Ted Nugent and Sabbath, Deep Purple. Again, remember, I'm going to be a rock star. I used to sit and hold these albums and just stare at them. Who produced them? Who was playing on them? What song was on side A to start, side B to start, what ended it, blah, blah, blah. So I would just stare at these albums, just dreaming of the day. Hence this. There's a little place called Underdog Records. It's on South Avenue in Boardman. And in high school, me, Paul Fleeson, Dave Shaw, people like that, Sam Fleeson, we'd go up there, and this is when I'm going from rock into harder rock, then into the full-on metal that I still listen to this day. All of it. I listen to 70s up to extreme metal. I bought this album. This is a real album. There was no sleeve, nothing really on it. I paid $10 for it, and it was a bootleg, which later on became, which was called Bathead Soup. Ozzy's live bootleg of the Randy years before the tribute album came out, which I will talk about later on. So this album sounded like crap. I should have never bought it. But it was live recordings of Randy at the time didn't exist. Remember, this is before the studio album. I mean, the tribute album that came out. So I liked albums. I loved looking at them. It was fantastic. So I made up my own band name, designed my own album cover, and made myself what you would call a lo-fi, unplayable picture disc, where they would have a picture of, like I've got, I don't know why I don't have it here to show you, but it would have the band's picture on it or something. It would be two-sided, have a couple songs or whatever, and you'd pay too much money for it and you couldn't play it because it didn't sound right because it had a picture etched in it. Well, this is paper. Look at that. So this is my fictitious band that never did nothing. Black Knight, first album, Demon's Ride. I mean, as soon as I started rebelling and having older neighbors next to me that are turning me on to Kiss and Styx and Zeppelin, it was off. I was done. I'm not going to be in Southern Gospel Quartet music. No! I'm going to worship Satan and love rock and metal and all that. But it all started here. All started here. This isn't the first one I ever bought, of course. But I thought, since it sounded so horrible, I don't see nothing wrong with just taking that little picture that I drew. Look at that. The skull, the ring around it. Here's a sickle. The swords. So, I was 12 when I did this, roughly. Or last week, I don't know. My mind. Anyway, that's leading up to this. I'm going to start doing this once a week or once every other week. Nibs is going to help me. He's going to help pick them. Joey, before he passed away, R.I.P., one of the greatest cats ever. And my wonderful Mitzi of 10 years, or 15 years, loved metal. Mitzi loved Jungle Rot and Unleashed and Obituary and Cannibal Corpse. Nibs is into the Sabbath, the Priest, and the Maiden. Joey was into the 70s stuff because of his mother. So we've got all kinds of things to reference that they would jot down or talk amongst themselves, and Nibs would just say, hey, why don't you put on that Fastway album? Hey, why don't you put on that Zebra album? We got anything, Lizzie? No, not an album. Sorry. But we have it on MP3. Okay, blah, blah, blah. I digress. So I'm going to be covering my own albums from my vault. If it's not covered, I don't have it on album. But I would have it on tape probably or MP3. Because after albums are the best way to go. They sound the best. They look fantastic. You can hold them in your hands. They're great. Look at them. Come on. Are you kidding me? Fantastic. Look how big they are, but they won't fit in your stereo in your car. So then cassettes came. But I'm only going to be covering, and this was Nibs' idea, he said, let's only do albums we physically have and can hold in our hands. Well, you'll have to hold them because I don't have thumbs. So that's what I'm going to do. Mary helped me with the name, I will tell you that. So she's got to get a little credit. She's my production assistant. So, remember, a lo-fi production. I hope you tune in. It might be entertaining. I love talking about music. And it'll be something to do that you could get a laugh out of or learn something. And you know, I'm honoring Joey and Nibs and Mitzi because they loved music. And since they have no thumbs and only talk to me, I had to do it. Hence, here I am. With the first installment of Fun with Vinyl, 2021, a lo-fi production. I think that covers it. They're only going to be 10 minutes long, this, that. I'm going to talk about who's in the band, maybe where they came from, production, who put it out, CBS, what year it came out. It'll be fun. And remember, if you don't like it and I upload something, you can always just skip it. I hope everybody has a wonderful year, and I hope you'll tune in to more installments of, again, Fun with Vinyl. Peace out!